Hey guys, it's Mindy, and today I'm going to be doing a discussion video for Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. This is going to be a spoilery discussion, so if you have not read the book, I recommend that you not watch this video. I will link down below some videos that are spoiler-free that you should feel free to watch if you're interested in finding out more about this book. First of all, I read this book with the Booktube reading buddies over on Goodreads, which I will link down below. It is a great group for discussion, and if you're interested in having book discussions, I definitely recommend that you go over there and check it out. I in particular wanted to thank Amber for posting the questions from the author's website about the book. That's actually what this discussion video is going to be about. It's going to be answering a few of those questions that I thought I wanted to talk about. Why I didn't answer them in the group thread is because I kind of felt uncomfortable with some of the questions and what they made me feel. So logically, I'm doing it on video where everybody can see my reactions, because that totally makes sense. Before I start the questions, I did want to mention that I did give the book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked the book in a whole. The only things that really kind of bothered me were the ending where the two killers in one night in the same house kind of, it didn't jive with me. Who uses the word jive anymore? And also Lyle, I think that was his name, from the Kill Club. He wasn't really well developed. Since I'm talking about the Kill Club, let's go ahead and start with that discussion question because I liked that one. The Kill Club is a macabre group obsessed with true crimes. Why do you think we are so interested in the murders of people we don't know? Is the fascination exploitative, or does it serve some purpose? Well, I think it's kind of a bit of both. In a way, we are grateful that it didn't happen to us. But for me personally, I do have a bit of an obsession about learning about different serial killers, and anytime I read about things like that, I get really intrigued. But that mostly for me is more about psychology. I like to know how the mind of a serial killer works. That's kind of disturbing now that I say that out loud, but it really just kind of intrigues me to know the goings on in the head of a serial killer, and if they try to rationalize things, or if it's an impulse, or if they're just pure evil. The second question, let's see here. Why do you think the author chose to set the murders on a farm? What images and themes does the heartland and farming evoke? For this one, there's a couple of different feelings that I had. You know, heartland and the farm and everything. When I think about that, I personally feel kind of a feeling of isolation, and I feel kind of like a loneliness whenever I think about the vast emptiness that is Kansas. Miles and miles in between houses sometimes, and there's just not very much there. There's a very dismal feeling to it. But on the other hand, when you think about it, Patty is a farmer and she grows crops for a living, which really makes me kind of try to relate that. The fact that she's a farmer and her job is to take care of plants and to nourish plants and to make sure that everything is going well with her crops. And relating that to her job as a mother, she is not paying that much attention to her daughters and her son, and she's not really giving them all the nourishment that they need in order to grow up and have healthy lives, which I think is a bit of the reason why the family seems to have so many issues. While on the topic of Patty Day, the next question is, what do you think of Patty Day as a mother? Is she doing the best she can, or is she making excuses for herself? What emotions ultimately fuel her choices? Can you see yourself making the choices that she makes? For this question, I feel I should mention that I have had issues with mental illness, and I've had issues with suicidal thinking. And that being said, I can relate a lot to Patty Day. I can relate a lot to Libby and to Ben in their suicidal thinking, because that's normal for me. I don't think that Patty Day was a very good mother. I know that mental illness can definitely affect how you're interacting with other people from personal experience. I also think that as a mother, you need to put yourself aside and just focus on the children. And I'm kind of split because I'm the type of person where I put myself after others. I always make sure other people are taken care of before I take care of myself, and that's not a good thing. It does have its issues. Also, I kind of feel like Patty did have a lot of mental issues. I think the reason that she made the choices that she did with hiring the Angel of Debt was because ultimately she felt humiliated to a point where she was giving up, and she needed to feel that her kids were being taken care of in one way or the other, and that she couldn't do it anymore. I've thought a lot about this because of my issues, and I've come to the conclusion that suicide is just mostly a selfish thing. I've tried to rationalize it for me personally, and I know that other people rationalize it when they think about it as well, but I think that suicide is selfish. So no, I would not make the same choices as Patty. I can see how people would make that choice out of fear of humiliation and fear of disappointment, or fear of disappointing her parents or her sister. But I don't think it was the right decision. Next question is, Ben is painted as a wild devil worshipper. How fair do you think this portrait actually is? For those who grew up in the 80s, do you recall any instances of satanic panic? And why do you think it became so widespread? Well, for those who don't know, my parents are kind of radical Christians, so I have experienced some satanic panic with not only wearing eyeliner, because when I started wearing eyeliner, my parents told me it was evil and it looked evil, and I wasn't allowed to wear it until later on. But primarily with the music that I listen to. I'm a big fan of rock. I listen to a lot of hard rock, and my parents growing up would not let me listen to anything but hymns. The church that we went to, we had a music program with no instruments. We were allowed to have a guitar and we were allowed to have a piano, but to a limit. Anything that made you feel like dancing, anything that made you feel like tapping your foot was evil, according to my parents. So when I brought home a System of a Down CD for the first time, that a puppy got snapped right in half, along with all of my sister's share of CDs and albums, or cassettes at the time. I have experienced satanic panic, and it's ridiculous, but it's still out there to this day. As far as Ben goes in the book, I think that he was kind of intimidated into the satanic whatever or not that was in the book. As weird as this may sound, I was kind of let down with the satanic rituals performed in the book. I was expecting something a little bit more elaborate there. But he was just pegged for being the bad guy because of, one thing that he did as a kid. And it's not like he actually believed in what he was doing or anything. So I definitely think that is unfair. And the last question, which I think is the question I related to the most. Libby became famous for being a victim. Do you think this strange fame affected her? Would she have been better adjusted if she never became famous? As many of you know, I did grow up out of the country in Brazil. Believe it or not, I was something special there. Since I was American and I was white and I had blonde hair when I was little, I was treated special. Libby, after the murders, started to receive all this attention as well, yet her attention was different from my attention. I was treated special, not pitied. I was treated special because people envied me. They wanted to be American, they wanted to be cool or whatever, but they valued me because of who I was, not really because of my personality or anything. That, for me, when I moved back to the United States and I was like everybody else, it kind of was a very rude awakening. I didn't realize that I was being treated special. I didn't realize that I was being treated better than other people or given more attention than other people because I was white and American. I didn't realize that growing up until I moved here, and nobody made an effort to get to know me, and nobody made an effort to really even talk to me. So I went from being very, very popular in Brazil to having basically nobody here. I was very isolated and became very depressed, and that's when my issues with mental illness kind of began to spiral out of control. For Libby, I think it was kind of similar. I think her experience was a little bit different than mine because her experience was more out of pity than of envy. Obviously, you're not going to envy someone who had such a tragedy happen in their life. And although it happened to us different ways, and I was, culture shock and realizing that nobody's going to really make an effort to get to know me unless I try, and social anxieties. And then Libby, on the other hand, who was expecting to be pitied the rest of her life and given things out of pity. We kind of are one and the same with the fact that once we realize we're not getting any more attention, that we kind of shut down a little bit, become very depressed, very isolated, and I really related to her in that way. So this is going to be the end of the discussion video. I hope that you are interested in hearing some of my opinions of the questions asked. And if you have a review or a discussion video for Dark Places, let me know and I'll go check it out. Hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!